one of the great appeals to me of The Day of the Jackal and why I was so keen to kind of go on this journey with it is it reminds me of those spy or espionage assassin movies of the past. It's deeply steeped in the analog rather than the digital. It's not about computers doing incredible things. It's about practical elements.
The Day of the Jackal is a very culturally relevant, poignant, fast-paced, high-scope, elegant and sophisticated drama.
There are so many series, brilliant series about spies, assassins, those worlds which I adore, but it was very important to me to try and find the Jackal's unique identity and that be a really implicit part of this and woven into all elements of the making of it. The Jackal's the lone wolf, really. He's a man, I think, for most of his life has been happier in his own company. He is staggeringly good at what he does. The shot that he takes, it's a world record-breaking shot, and as part of the prep for playing the Jackal, I went with Paul Biddis, the army specialist, and I learnt to sniper, not quite at that length, but across a kilometre. It's so technical, and it's all specific to the wind and the wind at different places. So when you're making those long-distance shots, you have to judge the wind at various different levels. And you're having to just adjust everything specific to the wind. The wind is everything for snipers. There is an element of ego to the Jackal. By shooting this world record-breaking shot, he kind of exposes himself. That's, I suppose, the lighting the flame of these mistakes that are going to begin to cascade.
Where is that?
Germany.
Bianca Pullman is an MI6 agent who is very unorthodox and has this fresh take on when new cases come in to MI6. She has an obsession with guns. She's the specialist in her department. At the beginning of the series, you see her in her home, which is unfortunately not the place that she sleeps in, is MI6. That's her first home, her energy space, the place that she most connects with inside as a human being, as a person, as a woman, as someone who's as driven as her.
What's the latest on the first shooting?
The report's actually just come in. Should be on your screen now. Single shot to the head, a lot of splatter. Bloody good shot.
No, that can't be right.
I found it quite comical playing it, the way that she just barges into meetings, the way that she interrupts people. She doesn't wait for people to think or speak or question. She always has the answers. She displays herself in this very upfront, brash way.
Look, Jordan's in there. Jordan. What does Jordan know about snipers? Have to be in there.
And at the beginning, you see her take over.
I've heard good things about you, Bianca.
And that's kind of a foundation to who we let her to be throughout the show.
Don't let me down.
In episode 2, we're really getting to the stakes of the work-life balance, and I love the way in which both Bianca's story and the Jackal's story, you begin to see them really paralleling each other.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
hey.
Just about on time.
I was mostly interested in Bianca grappling with how to run a family, how to run a household, how to be a wife and a mother, how to do that job well, even though her favourite job is her occupation.
Alison, just give me a moment.
Morning.
I think it's kind of refreshing for the show. And the first time that we see Nuria, the audience realize that the jackal has a family, that he's not just a contract killer, but, you know, a father and a husband. And I think that's very unique, you know, in this kind of genre.
Carlito, cumpleaños feliz. I think the Jackal's family in the introduction of that sort of humanizes it. And I think that what this side of him does is you see the guy who is a genuinely loving father and loving husband.
Something I learned when you are shooting with kids is that the shooting has to adapt to the kids and not the opposite. But it's so rewarding when you find a way to work with them and you see that they are enjoying, because for them it's not acting, it's just having fun, you know?
Guys, nothing, no posting. Yep.
Mama.
Okay. They know. I promise, they know.
I know you know.
One of the things that attracted me to this character was the enigma of him, trying to unpack him, trying to unpeel him. He does horrendous things, and yet he also has other sides of his character that are warm, kind, loving. He's a family man in many ways, and trying to marry those two things is kind of at the core of what the series is, I suppose.
When I first got the script, I was delighted that the family was already included. Her environment was already included. She's married, she has a child. She lives in Ladbroke Grove, which is not far from where I grew up. And I recognized the person. I recognized the foundation of who Bianca is and could be.
Seriously?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We are in the process at the moment of filming the assault on the Belarus house. Bianca has traced Norman. She's found out that he's the weapon maker, so she thinks she can get to the jackal through him. We started from the approach to the house, so it was movement, tactical movement through the woods, through the trees.
Moving.
40 metres out at the rear, moving.
Moving.
As much as I'm there for the realism side of it, from the military usage, tactics, etc., what actually happens on the ground doesn't always look great in the lens or on the camera. And it's having that artistic eye and knowing that the actual tactics aren't going to work, so I've got to change them to suit the camera angle and the lens.
So we have a shootout here, a couple of deaths. Scripts, lots of firework explosion. It's a really interesting and exciting scene. Lashana has a very good martial artist background. She did a couple of really great action movies before, so she really knows how to move with a weapon, how to handle a weapon, and I think it's really important. You can read the difference if you have an actor who learned the choreo. That's so different from an actor who handles weapons like her second nature.
Fuck!
You can keep looking straight ahead.
One of the things I love about our first block director, Brian, is he's so steeped in film history and the way he shot that scene on the bench. I love the obliqueness of it.
When the jackal meets Xena in episode 2, that transaction is all about power dynamics. He's in disguise. It's quite a subtle disguise, the idea being that she catches a glimpse of him. He's like a magician who attracts your attention to certain things if you're able to notice them. He always tries to wrong foot you. But also what happens within the scene is that she knows something he doesn't expect her to know.
Why are you still in Munich? It's been nearly a week since you killed Manfred Fest. Have you loose ends to tie up?
When she plays that card at the end, rather than being frightened by that, he's actually engaged by it.
We have a deal. Keep looking straight ahead.
In future communications, we'll use the codename Rodan for the target.
Rodan. Very good.
What was important to me is, as he names himself, that it's done on the turn that it's dropped in.
And we'll need a code name for you, too.
Why not the Jackal?
There was something that I was told by Brian, by Ronan, and just all the conversations we had about the show. Everybody lies, everywhere, in every moment, for no reason, for some reason, for a reason you don't know, for a reason you may know. Just complete lying because that's the way that they survive.
It could just as easily have happened at home, in bed.
But she wasn't in her bed, was she? She was in a police cell and you put her there.
I didn't, Alison, and I've told you that.
Do you even know what the truth is?
Manipulation is something that Bianca lives by. Alison is someone who's been in her professional life for many years, and with Alison being so mentally fragile and physically in a position whereby her life is constantly in danger, she knows that she can get exactly what she wants. And I think that Bianca, being who she is, how determined she is, her zest for being the best, comes out a lot in Alison and how she deals with her and how she deals with that family in general.
The amount of times that Bianca lies and gets away with it, but also keeps it very professional, is beyond me, but I think helps us track where her mind is every single time she makes a choice.
Something definitely went wrong in Belarus. Norman knew we were coming.
In this episode, the filming of the car chase, it felt big. A lot of Budapest was shut down for that. We had the camera guys in right up close and personal. I did some of my own driving, but a huge amount was done by our brilliant stunt team. One of my overwhelming memories was right at the end when Elias Fest asks who I am. He was so brilliant in that moment, Lucas, who plays Elias, that he started desperately trying to get out of the car, and they had put reinforced glass in order that it didn't get smashed, and he managed to smash the reinforced glass, which I take as testament as to how threatening I was.
I'll pay you. Whatever you want.
People sort of often question whether that money is the motivation for the Jackal.
But it's not about the money.
Yes, it's bought him a brilliant life, and I think at this moment in the piece he's thrilled with that because he wants to get out. But there's some other strange coded morality that he lives by.
Nuria discovers the Jackal has a secret room in his house. She's going looking for the truth about her husband, and she discovers that not only does she not know who he is, he might actually be unknowable. It's a very utilitarian space. It's a corridor of stainless steel drawers containing all the tools of the assassin's trade. But at the end of it, most strikingly, is the head cast. And it's potentially for her, it's the most shocking thing that she discovers, because the answer to the question of who he is another question. And unbeknownst to her, she is at the same time on camera being watched by the Jackal. I remember saying to Eddie, you love your wife, but not her brother. What we wanted in his eyes as he was watching and in his heart as he's watching is the conflict between the two parts of himself. One of whom is a husband and father and loves his wife, and the other of whom is an assassin who's just been confronted with an obstacle that he may now have to remove.
For me, the Jackal is an investigation into obsession and obsessive minds, and that's at the core of both Bianca and the Jackal.
What is the truth?
Couldn't get our room, annoyingly, but I did manage to get us a table at Saint-Martin.
For me, the Jackal was a lone wolf. That was the life that he had chosen for himself. And then he met this woman who changed his life and opened up a part of him that he didn't believe existed.
I love you, Lyra. And Carlito, that's not a lie. It never has been.
It's a massive moment when Nuria finds the Jackal's secret room. So I don't believe that he's thinking in this moment that he's going to kill her. I think he is, in his incredibly shrewd, cold, tactical way, working out how he is going to manage the situation and continue this web of lies.
Do you kill people?
No. No, I don't kill people.
I believe that he's sort of almost forgotten in that psychotic way what truth is. His initial instinct is always just to continue the lie.
I can't believe you put our lives at risk.
No, I've never put your lives at risk. No, I've never put your lives at risk, and I never
To
will.
your wife. To be your son. This is a risk for us.
Listen to me. I'm very careful, and I'm very good at what I do.
It's sort of extraordinary to me that, and horrifying that in that moment he manages to gaslight her.
No more lies, please. Please.
No more lies.
Ursula is astonishing, and what she brought to the character of Nuria is so brilliant. She manages to create this strong, bright, but funny, playful, and yet consistently put upon human being with such life.
Oh my God!
When I read the 3 first episodes, I was a little bit worried because I had the feeling that Nuria was too submissive.
Aguanta el genio. Juro que lo reviento. Aguanta el genio. Yo solo quiero arreglar esto.
All of a sudden, I realized that that's human as well for a female character, right? And that means that you can be submissive or vulnerable sometimes, but that doesn't mean that you cannot be bold and strong at the same time.
Uladag Charles, UDC, is a bit of an anomaly. He is a tech billionaire who, in his early 20s, created a company, Dag House, which with time has come to underpin the credit and financial systems of our world. He is someone who has been fucked by almost every ideology and every identity that exists in the world, and yet somehow still understands the dream in all of them. And so in this, where we kind of find him, he is at that stage, that moment in his life where he has reclaimed himself, and he's reached a point where this great project, River, is his answer.
Down there, guys, please be careful.
There was a lot to do in order to get to the nitty-gritty, the mind, body and soul of Bianca. We had the wonderful Leventi Lejac, who is our stunt coordinator and really taught me the art of moving from stillness. Actually, my first session with him was a yoga session, and it really helped me tap into my core and what it means to be, you know, kind of like enriched in your soul in order to be balanced on the field.
Larry, stop.
It helped me shape the kind of dynamics that Bianca would create in her field, the kind of people that she likes to work with, how silent and deadly she is. She's really, in some ways, quite dark, and I like that. And I think the training helped me to get a grasp on making a modern day woman who relates to a lot of people. She just so happens to be in this field.
One of the things that I love about this version of The Day of the Jackal is, on the one hand, it has all of the action and the set piece quality of the hunter being hunted, but at the same time, the thing that I hope makes it unique is the humanity at the core of it. And for me, Ursula's Nuria and Jackal's relationship there, as well as Bianca and Paul, really root it in something different. It is a more human story, and despite the extremes of what these people's lives are, hopefully there are things that people who aren't assassins can relate to. In episode 5, it's the first time that we get to see the Jackal and Bianca in close pursuit of each other.
Right, remember, we need him alive, yeah?
Really within inches of each other, and it's when it all ramps up.
This is his.
Isn't it, Norman?
Huh?
The Jackal's here, isn't he?
And I had conversations with Chris Ross early on about his plans. There was something that I thought I'd never experienced before, which is there's these very typical spy, sniper designed shots that are reserved for males. Women don't often get the chance to exist within those kinds of frames. There's a power shot that's used quite a lot that Chris did throughout the show, which is the camera being quite low down on the protagonist. That kind of makes you feel like this person's about to do something, something's about to pop off, or that they are the authoritarian and you should listen to everything they say. Bianca got given that chance, and that was a massive deal for me. We got to celebrate a different type of capturing of a woman on screen.
And it's gonna put you both in jail for the rest of your fucking lives.
Shooter, flanking left.
It's also a time which somehow the Jackal ends up showing his horse riding capabilities.
He's going mobile on a fucking horse.
Which was hilarious because I spent many years learning to ride horses after having lied once about my capabilities, and I can actually ride a horse, and I was quite excited to get to ride a horse on this, and then that horse turned up and it was actually a fake horse on top of a truck which went like, it was like a sort of rocking horse.
They won't trust me with a real horse for the actual riding, so I have my friend, my unicorn over here.
So don't look too closely at that moment. There's one moment when Bianca sees where the Jackal is, he's there trying to shoot, and suddenly he gets shot at close to him and he sort of ducks, and then Bianca comes up and puts the gun down and he's gone. And the reality of that shot was that we did that, I took the shot, the camera zoomed into Bianca, she came running towards me, and I was still there. So she was having to pretend that was basically the only scene until much later in the series that Lashana and I got to share together. There was a lot of water work there. There was a lot of running at night through very mosquito-ridden Hungarian forests.
It was very, very like close but no cigar, which is frustrating for her because she's not used to losing in that way. She's not used to things slipping through her fingers in the way that the Jackal does in that moment. And she lets out this big roar that I'd thought of from Ep 1. There must be a moment where she releases frustration, anger, angst, and it comes out in that moment in a big, big roar. It was, I think, important for me as a woman playing a woman in such a high-powered environment to be able to just have that moment for herself alone.
From Budapest to Croatia to London. There are so many locations in this show.
The Day of the Jackal is such an iconic piece and comes with so many expectations, I suppose. So the global element of it and the impact of that really needed to be felt in every frame of the piece. It really did feel mammoth and cinematic in its aspiration.
Different cities, different languages, different characters with different personalities and different cultures. It's one of the things I thought when I read the script. It was like, wow, this is cool, I like it.
I was wondering if there was any chance that I could persuade you to come to Paris.
Paris.
What we're showing here is it's a British-led story, but set all over Europe, and Europe as a sort of playground, if you like. We are in a contemporary world. That becomes clear quite early on. So we were both trying to instill a sense of the past in the show while being a highly topical show of our times, building formidable sets and shooting in a very exciting, beautiful yet visceral style.
We wanted to build an enormous jigsaw puzzle. We wanted to create strong graphic compositions that had lots of frames within frames. We wanted to use reflections. We wanted to use silhouettes, lots of those kind of noir tropes. The intention was to sort of create a sense of shifting sands beneath the feet of the audience so that they were constantly wrong-footed and required the jackal to take them on the journey, really.
The set builds are some of the best I've worked with. It felt very immersive for me as an actor stepping on.
It's about world building, it's about immersing a viewer into that space and then wanting to occupy it, wanting to stay there, believing in the four walls of it.
I've never experienced anything like it as far as the scope and scale of a project, and not only the scale but the capacity of two things to be happening at once. So we're here shooting in this iconic square in Budapest, while simultaneously Lashana is in London shooting with a whole other crew, and I feel like the scope of it is pretty breathtaking.
It's an absolutely thrilling show.
It's told on a scale and the production value that will appeal to everyone.
The Jackal is an extraordinary, wonderful series. It's been a real treat.
It's going to be a sexy and sophisticated show.
The Day of the Jackal is a culturally relevant, cinematic, massive show that will take a lot of people by surprise and will also remind them of what TV can be.